the truth. Tell them the truth. These the West End.
Yeah, dry as a fucking bone.
I'm from the West End.
I don't know what you people
I'm from
do.
the West
That
End.
never used to fucking happen.
Nigga, what you saying? I'm from the West End. I'm from the West End.
Motherfucker.
Yo, I'm coming straight from the West End. Move from the Jane to the West End. Watch how you talk when you walk through my hood, cause you know that my niggas be pressed in. Heavy artillery weapons. Ain't really into the questions. I ain't condoning no violence. The youngins, the violent, they move kinda reckless. Got the keys, police stay patting niggas. Stay cheese, I'm familiar face taxing niggas. Safety, didn't even wanna slap and make me. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. I knew from a youngin' that I be the one I hit something. Now all of these rappers is bugging. You live in the birds and you act like you came up from nothing. Shout out to my niggas on the plaza. Lane to connections, Southside Gaza. Wanna run my backwood, better have grabber. Never leave the house without my iPhone charger. Wallahi, my Molly's a rocker. Abdi Muhammad Mustafa. African man, that's my barber. Jamaican, my shopper. Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. These rappers, they lie in the booth. Lie in the booth. What's then got the realest? Just look at the proof. I'm living proof. The city's so litty cause we got the juice. We got the juice. Said we got the juice. I'm from the West End. I'm from the West End. Nigga, what you saying? I'm from the West End. I'm from the West End. Nigga, what you saying? Strip, jungle to the Rex Week D. I can tell the West End.
De sécuriser le patrimoine de la SNEL pour le bien-être de tous. Jean-Crispin Mukendi, directeur provincial de la SNEL, Kasaï-Oriental, s'est ainsi exprimé au micro d'Esther Ndalafina.
Nous avons pu mettre quelques cabines en service qui étaient spoliées. Il y a eu des civiques, il y avait police, 3 cabines reparties de la manière suivante. Il y a une cabine qui est sur le quartier Boubangi dans la commune de Djungo. Il y a une cabine qui est réhabilitée dans le quartier Kachalabonsola, donc dans la commune de la Mouya. Il y a une autre cabine qui est réhabilitée dans la commune de Dibidi, donc dans le quartier de Nachiwabwa, qui toutes ces 3 cabines desservent actuellement la population de ces contrées. La SNEL est en train de mettre du paquet double pour que la population de Mbujima puisse être alimentée en énergie électrique. Nous avons suffisamment de matériel qui a été réussi à doter à SNEL Mbujima. Il y a lieu de vous signaler qu'il y a la cabine qui alimente le quartier du parquet qui sera mise en service pour desservir aussi la population de ce coin. Et la population sent qu'ils doivent sécuriser le patrimoine de l'État. Ils ont besoin du courant. Ils ne veulent pas détruire ce que nous sommes en train de poser comme infrastructure sur la ville.
Fin de ce bulletin d'information. Merci à tous de l'avoir suivi. Radio Capi.
Oh. Fuck. No. Open with an app I don't fucking have. Oh, lock it up again. Right, we've been out for 2 minutes. Wow. Well, you're such an incredible hacker. You figure it out, bro. You froze it up again. I'm gonna just keep restarting it over and over. I know you gotta watch every single one, though. Chrome has stopped. No, it didn't. The fuck is this shit? Get the fuck out of here. Holy fuck, man. I know it's the mouse because I do the exact same thing here. And that don't happen. No, different shit happens when I do this, man. Motherfucker. Oh, I had it so bad he was flaring. Yeah, I always swear because this ain't my language, so I don't give a shit. didn't press up, down, down, down. No, I didn't. I'm still pressed. That's a funny trick, eh? I'm supposed to think I'm getting it out of order. I know you got this whole routine. You've been doing this for years, but the thing is, it never worked on people that grew up with this shit, eh? You did not. I did. Oh, if you don't know how the shit that worked before the shit yours is, then how the fuck do you know anything at all about it? Oh, for fuck's sake. Fuck. You've gotta be fucking kidding me, man. Oh, and of course from here we can't skip back and forth at all. Why would you want to do that?
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. News Watch.
Why would I use your fucking ass?
Cooperative Governance in KZN says employees at Melmot and Tonjaneni local municipality are returning to the office today. They've had to work remotely for under a week after 19 staff at the Northern KZN offices contracted COVID-19. The building's been sanitized and decontaminated, and other employees have been tested. Cochta spokesperson Senzo Mzila says the municipality assured them there won't be any disruptions to service delivery.
Measures were prepared beforehand. As you know, at Cochta, as you located municipality, to have emergency plans in case the COVID-19 cases.
The number of COVID-19 cases is fast approaching the 100,000 mark in South Africa. The health minister confirmed last night that the number of cases has risen to 97,302. 5,030 of the cases are in KZN. Now, 53 more people have died from the respiratory disease, bringing the death toll to 1,930. There have been 51,608 recoveries in the country. Premier Sihle Zikalala says over 400 healthcare workers in KZN have tested positive for COVID-19.
With regard to public servants and municipal officials testing positive, we have noted a gradual increase in the number of positive cases involving public servants.
Zikalala updated the media on the pandemic's impact on our province at a briefing in Mayville yesterday. He says they want to make sure that those affected by the outbreak receive the proper care.
We trace and test staff who have been in contact with those who have tested positive. We undertake daily screening of all public servants and regular decontamination of all public buildings where people have tested positive.
Now, worries about a new coronavirus cluster in Beijing have forced authorities to ban imports from a top U.S. poultry producer. A Beijing Pepsi factory has been ordered to close as well as the country clamps down on food production and distribution. More than 220 people have so far tested positive from the latest outbreak. Officials say there had been an outbreak at a Tyson Foods production facility in the U.S. Products from the firm that have already arrived in China will be confiscated. U.S. food and drinks giant PepsiCo was also ordered to shut down one of its snack-making plants in Beijing after several employees tested positive. Partly cloudy to clear skies in KZN today. Devon Richards Bay reaching a high of 23 degrees, Maritzburg 21. Our lead story, cooperative governance in KZN, says employees at Melmot and Tonjaneni local municipality are returning to work today after 19 staff members tested positive for COVID-19. For a look at these and other stories, log on to ecr.co.za. I'm Natara Nadesan for the team.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. News Watch.
The Health MEC is asking people who've been diagnosed with COVID-19 and need to go to the hospital not to stay at home. Nomugugu Similani Zulu says there have been a number of coronavirus-related fatalities in our province after people refused hospitalization, even after they were instructed by their doctors.
Were found to be positive a few days back, and they insisted on self-isolation. and she began having respiratory problems. And when she was advised to go to the hospital, she refused to do so because she believed that her husband was taking good care of her, even though her husband was not a clinician. Now, she woke up, started having challenges, and she passed on. Now, that is a death that is unnecessary.
Briefing the media in Mayville, the MEC said some fatalities could have been avoided.
If your health worker or your clinician is advising you as a patient when you are positive to go and be hospitalized, please go and allow yourself to be hospitalized. We are not saying people must be hospitalized in our facilities in particular. They can go to any private hospital if that's what they want to do. However, as a province, we've got enough beds right now to accommodate everyone.
That'll be different.
Cooperative governance in KZN says employees at Melmut's and Chonjaneni local municipality are returning to the office. They've had to work remotely for under a week after 19 staff members at the Northern KZN offices contracted COVID-19. The building's been sanitized and decontaminated, and other employees have been tested. Now, law enforcement officers are on high alert in Gauteng today after the SA National Taxi Council called on its members in the province to down keys. Transport MEC Jacob Mamabolo is urging taxi operators to demonstrate peacefully.
Santaco is going on a shutdown, and NTA, or the Gauteng National Taxi Alliance, has said they will be operating. We hope this does not set back the unity in the taxi industry that we have been working so hard on and to build. Because what could happen on the ground, we do not know what could happen, but the culture and the history in the taxi industry is that under these conditions, there's normally difficulties.
Santaco's shut down services in Gauteng in response to government's 1 billion rand relief fund, saying the money is not enough. The once-off payment comes with strict conditions that will force taxi operators to register as business entities. Meanwhile, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula says government doesn't have more money that can be allocated to the taxi industry at this point.
The decision to avail 1.135 billion rand to the taxi industry as relief support was not an easy one. We literally had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. It is for this reason that none of the relief packages equate or could be equated to compensation for losses, but rather limited support to cushion the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our top story, the Health MEC is urging people who've been diagnosed with COVID-19 and need to go to the hospital not to stay at home. For more information on the virus, you can call the Health Department's 24-hour hotline at numbers 0800 029 999, 0800 029 999.
We're taking 13 educators and 6 learners. Amajuba 2 educators and 1 learner. Ilende 3 educators tested positive. In the 15 educators, 1 learner, 1 food handler, and 1 security guard. Yerikwana, 6 educators and 1 learner. Uchugela, 4 educators and 2 learners. Ugu, 5 educators and 1 learner. Uzinyati, 4 educators. Umfanya Wuge, 3 educators. Jingle Trial, it's only 2 learners who have tested positive. And Zululand, it is 1 educator and 1 office-based educator.
Wake up with Darren, Kerry and Sky.
So here at East Coast Radio, KZN's #1 hit.
Wake up with Darren, Kerry and Sky.
Here's your coronavirus update. And how's this for a little bit of good news? Some good news in the coronavirus update. I like that. The Competition Commission says it expects food prices to fall. It has vowed to monitor retailers, so we're watching you retailers, to make sure savings are passed on to the consumers. The Commission's acting spokesperson, Siyabulela Makunga, said the Commission had been vigilant in responding to consumer complaints of price increases for essential food products. Makunga said market factors, including the Rand's 25% depreciation in March, initially pushed the food prices up during the lockdown, but that these were now being reversed. Good news.
And all I'm going to say is, you've got to love the Greeks. Greece has had one of the best COVID-19 records in Europe, and that's thanks to their government's swift decision to go to lockdown. So they have 185 registered deaths so far from the disease out of a population of about 10.7 million people. So that's equivalent to 17 deaths per million people. Spain and Italy, they had 578 and 560 registered deaths per million, respectively. And overseas visitors have begun arriving in Spain again as the country has reopened its borders, and their 3-month state of emergency declared in response to the coronavirus pandemic has officially come to an end.
I had a look at that story, and I think there's a piece of information they're leaving out of that. I mean, Greece, yes, has done very well, but it does help that you destroy your plates after eating them, because you don't get to spread the virus.
That's actually
no one thought about
that. That is ridiculous.
The rest of us
it is
true. They don't actually break the plates they eat.
I've been to Greek restaurants, they break the plates.
Yeah, I went to with you. They broke my plate.
They didn't break your plates. Stop it.
They took it up at the take to the kitchen and they threw it away.
I think it's a great policy. Please, kids, don't try this at home.
And then the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria has dismissed the DA's bid for the Minister of Small Business Development to stop using BBEE status, race, gender, age, or disability when considering who gets a COVID-19 aid. At the same time, the court ruled that the department's criteria by which people are chosen to receive aid under the debt finance scheme or the business growth resilience fund be aside and declared unlawful because they are too vague. I just want to say, ever since the 500 billion rand got released, I know a lot of people with business. I have never ever heard of someone getting anything from this fund. Just when UIF, I love you, tick, you've been great, but this fund, one day in 2 years' time, there's going to be a commission that I'm telling you.
All right, watch the space.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the Worldometer. The numbers just keep going up. Again, you must listen to these numbers as if it's the first time you're hearing it, because we run the risk of these numbers going up incrementally and we don't realize the impact. The Worldometer right now shows that 9 million people around the world, 9 million, just over 50,000 coronavirus cases, 470,804 people have died worldwide due to COVID-19, and 4,841 have recovered. So around about a 50%. We're floating around over 50%, about 54% recovery rate here. We're edging so much closer. I'm sure by the end of today, South Africa will have 100,000 cases. Of those, 51,608 have recovered. So I said about 54% recovery rate. And also, by tonight, tomorrow, maybe by Wednesday morning, we'll have 2,000. It's around about a 50%. We're floating around over 50%, about 54% recovery rate here. We're edging so much closer. I'm sure by the end of today, South Africa will have 100,000 cases. Of those, 51,608 have recovered. So I said about 54% recovery rate. And also by tonight, tomorrow, maybe by Wednesday morning, we'll have 2,000 people died because of COVID-19 in South Africa. So guys, in this coronavirus update, just remember, although the legislation has relaxed, social distance, wear your masks, be responsible, no hugs, no kisses, no hanging out and having a big jaw. This is your coronavirus update here on East Coast Radio, KZN's #1.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
Deputy Minister of Social Development, Henrietta Bavopane Zulu, says gender-based violence is no longer a pandemic.
It's now genocide. At the rate that women are killed, this country needs to declare it as a genocide, because it is only then that we will begin to all stand up, and maybe then South African men, fathers, will begin to do what they need to do.
She's pleaded with South African men, especially fathers, to build their families and not break them. During a virtual Father's Day dialogue yesterday, the Deputy Minister warned the country wouldn't have a future unless men change their behavior.
We have launched the WhatsApp line where we called out to men to reach out for help by sending the word BRAVE to 0800 150 150. We want to thank all the men, because more than 28,000 men have called for help, and they are aspiring to be champion men.
She says they expect South African men to lead the calls for harsh sentences for perpetrators and to hold each other accountable. Now, the KZN Health MEC is asking people who've been diagnosed with COVID-19 and need to be admitted to go to the hospital. Nomagogo Simelane Zulu says there have been a number of coronavirus-related fatalities in the province after people refused hospitalization after being instructed to go there by their doctors.
The latest death was of a lady who both herself and her husband were found to be positive a few days back, and they insisted on self-isolation. And she began having respiratory problems, and when she was advised to go to the hospital, she refused to do so because she believed that her husband was taking good care of her, even though her husband was not a clinician. Now, she woke up, started having challenges, and she passed on. Now, that is a death that is unnecessary.
Briefing the media in Mayville, the MEC said some fatalities could have been avoided.
If your health worker or your clinician is advising you as a patient when you are positive to go and be hospitalized, please go and allow yourself to be hospitalized. We are not saying people must be hospitalized in our facilities in particular. They can go to any private hospital if that's what they want to do. However, as a province, we've got enough beds right now to accommodate everyone.
Well, yesterday saw the biggest global jump in confirmed COVID-19 cases since the outbreak began. The World Health Organization says more than 183,000 new infections were registered, with most of them in North and South America. There've been a surge in cases in Germany. New cases have been reported in hospitals, care homes, and at an abattoir. The infection rate, known as the R number, has risen to 2.88, meaning each person with the virus is passing it on to almost 3 others. Another look at our lead story. The Deputy Minister of Social Development has pleaded with South African men, especially fathers, to build their families and not break them. She says gender-based violence is no longer a pandemic, but genocide. You've been with the eNewsWatch team. You can download our podcast via the ECR app or connect with us online. We're ECR_Newswatch on Twitter.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
The SA National Taxi Council in KZN says taxis in the province will operate as normal today, but their branches are planning to meet this week to discuss government's 1.1 billion rand coronavirus relief package for the industry. Santaco members in Gauteng have gone on strike today, saying the money is simply not enough. The transport minister says government can't do more at this point. The once-off payment comes with strict conditions that will force taxi operators to register as business entities. The council's KZN chairperson, Sifiso Nshangase, says they're also not happy with what government's offering, but they haven't yet decided on the way forward.
For now, people must be rest assured to be operating. People will take decisions on their own because eventually the vehicles are owned by individuals, not by Santaco.
In Tshwane, there have been disruptions on the roads due to the taxi strike, with some operators blocking several routes this morning. KZN Premier Sihle Zikalala says stricter COVID-19 protocols have been issued to businesses that will operate under advanced level 3 lockdown. The president said last week that salons, cinemas and theatres will be allowed to reopen. People going to restaurants can sit down for a meal.
Just to illustrate this by way of an example, each customer must be served using a clean towel, not having been used by the previous customer. The PPE is worn by the workers must be changed after treating each client. Water for hand washing must be served, sanitization, wearing of masks, all of that should be compulsory. So there is a need for constant cleaning of equipment, encouraging pre-bookings, and not allowing many people inside the premises. This will add some financial strain to those businesses, but these are the necessary conditions to ensure the continuous operations of these businesses.
Zikalala says they understand the risks associated with the reopening of these sectors.
Hairdressers and massage therapists do work on your body, and the waiter is to bring food to your table. It is for this reason that stricter protocols have been issued for these sectors to comply with.
Deputy Minister of Social Development Henrietta Bagopane Zulu says gender-based violence is no longer a pandemic,
it's now genocide. At the rate that women are killed, this country needs to declare it as a genocide, because it is only then that we will begin to all stand up, and maybe then South African men, fathers, will begin to do what they need to do.
She's pleaded with South African men, especially fathers, to build their families and not break them. During a virtual Father's Day dialogue yesterday, the Deputy Minister warned the country wouldn't have a future unless men change their behavior. Our lead story, Santaco, says taxis in KZN will operate as normal, but provincial structures will meet soon after today's strike action in Gauteng. I'm Natarna Dessen for the Newswatch team.
On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
Finance Minister Tito Mboweni is set to deliver his emergency budget to the nation this Wednesday. The severe impact to the economy, which is projected to shrink by around 16%, coupled with South Africa's junk status grade, has forced National Treasury to compile the budget containing a revised approach. Economist Mike Schuessler says it's likely the minister will provide clarity around economic developments that could hit us hard in the long run.
What we need to know from the minister on Wednesday is how we fix this. Where do we get the loans from? Where do we cut back on spending? What possible tax increases are there going to be in future? All these things will be revealed. We don't know if we'll have all the answers necessarily in detail, but we'll have at least the trends and the bigger picture going forward.
The SA National Taxi Council in KZN says taxis in the province will operate as normal today, but their branches are planning to meet this week to discuss government's 1.1 billion rand coronavirus relief package for the industry. Santaco members in Gauteng have gone on strike today, saying the money is simply not enough. The Transport Minister says government can't do more at this point. The once-off payment comes with strict conditions that will force taxi operators to register as business entities. The council's KZN chairperson, Spiso Nchambaze.
For now, people must be rest assured to be operating. People will take decisions on their own, because eventually the vehicles are owned by individuals, not by Santaco.
In Tshwane, there have been disruptions on the roads due to the taxi strike, with some operators blocking several routes. KZN Premier Sishla Zikalala says stricter COVID-19 protocols have been issued to businesses that will operate under advanced level 3 lockdown. The president said last week that salons, cinemas and theatres will be allowed to reopen. People going to restaurants can now sit down for a meal.
Just to illustrate this by way of an example, each customer must be served using a clean towel, not having been used by the previous customer. The PPE is worn by the workers must be changed after treating each client. Water for hand washing must be served, sanitization, wearing of masks, all of that should be compulsory.
Zikalala says they understand the risks associated with the reopening of these sectors.
Hairdressers and massage therapists do work on your body, and the waiter is to bring food to a table. It is for this reason that stricter protocols have been issued for these sectors to comply with.
A top story this hour, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni is set to deliver his emergency budget to the nation this Wednesday. For the Newswatch team, I'm Myron Naika.
If you're traveling on the N2 highway heading towards Amanzimtoti from Durban, we've got a vehicle fire before the M1 Higginson Highway, and traffic is already quite congested in the area, so please be on the lookout. And of course, to give way to emergency vehicles. Otherwise, there are no major incidents if you're traveling on the roads this morning. If you're traveling between Durban on the N3 and Pietermaritzburg. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Andy James.
Report traffic now to 33116.
Otherwise, the on the If you're traveling on the N2 highway heading towards Amanzimtoti from Durban, we've got a vehicle fire before the M1 Higginson Highway, and traffic is already quite congested in the area, so please be on the lookout. And of course, to give way to emergency vehicles. Otherwise, there are no major incidents if you're traveling on the roads this morning. If you're traveling between Durban on the N3 and Pietermaritzburg. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Andy James.
Report traffic now to 33116. On FM, on the station app, and on DSTV channel 836. This is East Coast Radio. Newswatch.
Police have arrested an alleged con man on charges of extortion linked to two high-profile kidnapping cases in Durban. 27-year-old Brandon Moodley was arrested by detectives in Lenasia and Gauteng in a search that stems from the 9th of August 2018. He briefly appeared in the Durban Magistrates Court this morning. Newswatch's Nushera Sudyal is there.
State Prosecutor Kuveshni Pillay told Magistrate Panita Armu that Moodley has been linked to the kidnapping cases of Sydenham pupil Miguel Lowe and Westville businesswoman Sandra Munsami. Pillay told the court that in the Lowe case, Moodley allegedly made contact with the boy's mother, Raylene Lowe, through social media and demanded 10,000 rand from the family around the time that Miguel went missing in July 2018. Pillay says Moodley used the same modus operandi in the Sandra Munsami case, where her family was contacted when she went missing in May last year. But the suspect has not been charged in this matter yet. The state prosecutor says they are against bail for the Shaka's Kraal resident, as he is a flight risk. Munsami was found alive in Mpumalanga 6 months after being abducted on her way home from work in Pinetown. 4 men have been arrested in the matter. Miguel Lowe's body was found a few weeks after he went missing. Judgment in his murder case is due to be heard in the High Court in Durban. Nushera Sudyal, East Coast Radio News Watch, Durban Magistrates Court.
Finance Minister Tito Mboweni set to deliver his emergency budget to the nation this Wednesday. The severe impact to the economy, which is projected to shrink by around 16%, coupled with South Africa's junk status grade, has forced National Treasury to compile the budget containing a revised approach. Economist Mike Schussler says it's likely the minister will provide clarity around economic developments that could hit us hard in the long run.
What we need to know from the minister on Wednesday is how we fix this. Where do we get the loans from? Where do we cut back on spending? What possible tax increases are there going to be in future? All these things will be revealed. We don't know if we'll have all the answers necessarily in detail, but we'll have at least the trends and the bigger picture going forward.
And New York City has announced it's going to remove a statue of former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt, long criticized as a racist and colonialist symbol, but the move drew criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump. The bronze statue of Roosevelt, which has been at the entrance of the American Museum of Natural History for 80 years, depicts the former leader on horseback, towering over a black man and a Native American man who are both on foot. Our top story: police have arrested an alleged con man on charges of extortion linked to two high-profile kidnapping cases in Durban. For the Newswatch team, I'm Myron Naika.
They called the guy that got killed, the McMahon that got killed, black. The first thing they called him was
that vehicle that was on fire into southbound before the M1 Higginson Highway has been cleared up, and traffic is now free-flowing in the area. There are no major delays to be on the lookout for, and no major incidents, but of course to keep in mind of the roadworks taking place on the M7 today, on the M7 between Bailey Road and Titran Road. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Andy James.
Report traffic now. Tweet at ECR Traffic.
Truck congestion on Bayhead Road, eastbound, heading towards the Bluff. And so if you're in the area, expect delays or otherwise find alternative routes. If you're traveling on the N2 northbound, we've got some roadworks in the left lane closed after the M7 interchange. And then we've got roadworks on the M7 still ongoing with lane closures from time to time. So please be on the lookout for that. And it's between Bailey Road and Titran Road. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Andy James.
Report traffic now to 33116.
Some slow-moving traffic if you're traveling on the N3 to Durban from Pietermaritzburg, queuing from Caterridge. So please be on the lookout and, of course, to expect delays. Otherwise, there are no major incidents to report on through the Greater Durban. Just some slow-moving traffic on Bailey Road approaching the Wakesley and Bailey Road intersection. A reminder that there's roadworks in the area, so do expect delays. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Andy James.
Report traffic now. Call 031 566 3534.
Chamuntu, Chanzambi, Chanzambi.
And baseball's Nelson Cruz driven to tears when he won the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award for his charity work.
From my heart, my family, my foundation, and my hometown. Thank you.
I'm Simon Bennett.
Justin Bieber is pushing back against 2 sexual assault allegations leveled against him over Twitter this weekend. The first came from a woman identified as Danielle, who posted a statement detailing an incident in which Bieber allegedly forced himself on her in a Texas hotel room 6 years ago. Bieber responded by posting screenshots that show him with his then-girlfriend Selena Gomez on the night of the alleged assault, and he says he can prove he was never at that hotel at all. The second round of allegations came from a woman identified as Caddy, who says she was sexually assaulted by the pop star months later in New York City. Bieber has not yet responded to those claims, but he does say he's working with Twitter and authorities to take legal action.
This is 680 News.
You're invited to come meet the Volvo of Toronto team that will turn your summer into the summer of Volvo. Volvo of Toronto is waiving the first 3 payments when you lease select in-stock 2020 models, including the XC90, a beautiful blend of performance and technology. Or save an additional $1,000 when you finance or pay cash. Remember, Volvo of Toronto is here for you with exceptional service even in difficult times. Visit Volvo of Toronto, downtown near Cherry and Front, or volvooftoronto.com.
680 News Time, 841.
Time for 680 News, traffic and weather together on the ones for Sherwin-Williams. Here's Eva Franciscatos. Well, right now, if you're east on the 401 approaching Highway 25, looks like we might have a collision there. Not sure which lane is blocked, but it's slow from east of Rock Line to approaching Highway 25. And then delays again in Lexington to west in both express and collector lanes. And east 401 approaching Whites and the collectors, the right lane is blocked. That's for a collision. Looking at the westbound 401 collector ramps to the 410 403, it's a single lane for construction. You'll find it slow from west of Dixie and the collectors. And southbound 404 DVP slow south of the 401 to south of Lawrence. Westbound 403 ramp to Upper Middle Ford Drive. It's still a single lane for construction. Very slow going from approaching Dundas, and we also have ongoing slowdowns on the westbound 401. The collector ramps to the 410 403 still a single lane for construction, so it is slow going from west of Dixie in the collector lanes. Ask Sherwin-Williams and save 30% on paints and stains June 19th through 30th. Shop in store or call for curbside pickup. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Next report is at 8:51. Here's a check on the forecast now with Jill Taylor. We've got some very light showers in parts of the GTA right now, but the bulk of the activity, the showers, thunderstorms for the afternoon. One more hot, humid day. The guaranteed high 30 will feel like 36. 21 for the low, still very warm overnight. Any scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms will end early this evening. And then the activity tomorrow, the weather becomes more widespread. Many areas have not had rain since about June the 11th, so they need it. Many areas do. And cooler air on the way. Fresher air. Right now, it's 23. Some light rain showers appears in 22 at 680 News. So quite a bit of haze and cloud. The guaranteed high, 30.
680 News Time, 843.
Now the Scotia iTrade Market Minute.
Over to Mike Apple at the 680 Business Center. How's look now, Mike?
Recovery continuing here on the markets falls. The Dow futures at 188 points. The S&P futures up a little less than 1%. Should be an okay start. At the 9:30 bell, the gold stocks will be front and center on Bay Street this morning. The precious metal now at its highest level since 2012. It's up $12 at $1,765 per ounce. That puts it well above $2,000 in Canadian funds.